the participants are a few minutes behind here.
They always are. Push it now.
They should be. Oh, are you seeing? Oh, hi. Hello. We're seeing some folks here.
Okay.
Welcome, everybody.
There we go. Okay, I'm publishing the poll. Okay.
All right. Okay, so I'm gonna also log in, let's see, as a moderator so I can see. I think we're gonna go ahead and just start any minute now. Welcome, everybody. Let me just log in here. Okay, I'm gonna turn this microphone off. Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Can you hear me, Sumedha?
I can hear you, yeah.
Okay. Close that one out. Okay. So we have a bunch of folks here, so we are ready to go. I will actually put the presentations up.
Okay.
And I'm gonna make sure that this is, yep, good. All right, okay, well, welcome everybody. We're so glad you're here. And we're in for a really big treat today. It is going to be a super fun day. So we hope that we have parents here and we hope that we have kids here and that everybody is excited to hear how we can all become more comfortable with speaking in public. Right now on this screen, it doesn't feel so public, but we are looking forward to the days where the public will actually be right here in front of us. My name is Debbie Rosen. I run the Study Pro. I'm the founder of the Study Pro, and we are an executive function and study skills center. And we are super excited about things that we're doing here this summer. So for all of you guys that are out there, very quickly, I wanted to bring your attention to the poll that is on the right. So if you want to go ahead as you're entering in, and please share what you're currently wearing if you're still in your pajamas for the day. I didn't dry my hair today, but I am not in my pajamas. I am dressed in my clothes, a different clothes than from yesterday. So I'm answering the poll here. Over the summer, we are going to have several week-long classes, 2 hours a day, that we're going to actually not only do a lot of, implement a lot of what we've learned in hopefully today, but also be able to practice that. So we kind of have a first hour as the learning how to have different types of speaking in different types of forums, and then practicing that. We also are doing a whole bunch of other stuff over the summer. We teach a lot about growth mindset and study skills. So that's for rising 4th and 5th graders. That's under our executive function courses called growth strategies. Super important, especially for any kind of distance learning, continuing distance learning. Same thing with our study skills for 6th through 8th and 9th through 12th. And then we're also doing the writing coaching and writing courses. So we hope that you check out our summer website and that we can see you here over the summer. We've worked really hard to make things as exciting and engaging as I know that they're going to be today. And so with that, my official duties are almost over. I was going to then introduce our speaker, Sumedha Bahri, and we're very excited to have her here today. I am always impressed with the long list of careers that Sumedha has had, and interests, passions, and experience and talents. Not only is Sumedha a stand-up comic, but she's been a lawyer, a patent attorney, a law professor, as you can see here, an engineer, a portrait artist. We want you to share some of your pictures with us later. Maybe you can hold some up. So you are all in great hands today because we have someone who's incredibly well-rounded here to share some of your experiences. So, Sumedha, I'm going to actually ask you, how did you come to actually being um, someone who was so passionate about public speaking?
Firstly, thank you so much, Deb, for having me on here. And hi, guys.
You can use the little emojis so we can go, hi, thumbs up.
We actually did add the portrait art. I'm always intrigued by the fact that I'm also a stand-up comic. And what I've seen, I teach public speaking, and especially the reason I teach it to kids, okay, is because in all of these different places I've been, in all of these different sort of jobs I've had or roles that I've had, and the different environments I've worked with, and the different kinds of people I've worked with, whether it be from CEOs and giant companies to people in an audience, in a comedy club, I can tell you what's always taken me or complemented my other skills the most. My other skills, I mean like the degrees and the other kind of classes I've taken, have been my ability to public speak and also just to communicate effectively. And what I've seen, and if I have parents in the audience, just really briefly, I'm sure you guys have all seen, like maybe at work, where the person who can really talk the talk moves up the ladder a lot. You see that. And that's because leaders always can public speak very, very well. But adults, oh my goodness. Now, Debbie, I shared this with you before, but this crazy statistic that 73% of the world struggles with glossophobia. And I always say this, but it's not a fear of lip gloss. It is actually some sort of fear or anxiety of public speaking. That's a huge percentage, 73% of the world, okay? So imagine the people in here, 3/4 of them. So we don't want you kids to fall into that statistic. Public speaking is actually an amazing skill. It's super fun. And if we start it early enough, guess what? We're not going to be as nervous about it as we keep going, as we keep growing in our lives and school and career and with our friends. So that's why I start teaching it really early to kids. And it's super duper fun. Also, if you can't tell by now, I love to talk anyways. So it's always the thing that I enjoy. Ask my husband, my kids, and random person I bump into at the grocery store. The best fun, of course, these days. So that's basically why I started, is because I'm just very passionate about it. And, it's wonderful to see kids getting the skill and really, really growing with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is super exciting.
Because of that. So yeah, and I founded Highest Speak, which is a public speaking company. So that's what we do. We teach kids public speaking.
So public speaking, of course, we know one of the hardest forms of public speaking is being a stand-up comic. Mm-hmm. So how did that come about? How did you become a stand-up comic? That really got to take a lot of nerve.
Right. And I think I started stand-up comedy probably a good 12 years ago. So I started as a first associate in my law firm, and naturally, me being me, I'd be cracking some jokes, and a bunch of friends were saying, hey, why don't you try an open mic? And I did. And it became very addicting and terrifying at the same time. And seriously, if you guys have seen good stand-up comedians, not bad ones, guys, good stand-up comedians, it is one of the hardest forms of public speaking you're going to see. Because think about it. You're up there, what do you do? Note cards when you're a stand-up comic. You don't have these, you can't stand in one place frozen. You can't look at the floor. You can't look at the sky. You are not only remembering everything you're saying, you are doing it in a story form. You're using your pauses at the right time. You're using your face. You're using your body. You're speaking nice and loud and clear. And here's the other part. You're not just doing all that. You have to get a reaction from the audience, and not a bad reaction, not boos, not tomatoes. You got to get people laughing. So you need a certain kind of reaction. Therefore, it's one of the hardest, most challenging forms of public speaking. And normally you're going to see people who can do that well can usually do all kinds of public speaking pretty well. So there, stand-up, super fun. I also write like stories. I also do a web series. It's not here, but comedy's fabulous. So that's me. There you go. That's
Well, we're very excited to have you and share things. So we're going to go ahead and just jump right into it. I
what,
know everybody already found the chat, it looks like. And you should be able to answer the first poll already. And with that, Sumedha, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you so you can start sharing some of the skills.
yeah, definitely. And can we, so we jumped a slide right there, which is totally fine. But
Oh,
what guys, yeah, we'll keep it on
yeah,
there.
sorry.
What are you guys currently wearing? Okay, this is just out of my own curiosity and nothing to do with public speaking, just so you know. So we see that, wow, this is really impressive, Debbie. These people deserve a discount. 43.8% of people actually showered and dressed up. My guess is that those are kids, because as a mom of two kids, I've got an 8-year-old and a almost 2-year-old. I make my kids shower and dress up every day, whereas for myself, normally I will be in pajamas until 5 o'clock and then change into another pair of pajamas. So very impressive if you actually showered and dressed up. I'm so glad. Oh my God, we have 8% of people wearing a clown suit, Debbie. 8%. I wish I could see it. This is where I wish the cameras were on for the
I know.
but thank you guys for sharing that so much. And before we start, I'm also going to put up another poll question really quickly as I'm talking, because poll questions are super fun. So let me see if I can close this one. I'm going to close this one out, guys. Okay. And I'm going to put up another one right now. Okay, here we go. Okay, I like poll questions. They're fun and they keep things interactive. So I would love to know from you guys why you're attending this webinar. 100% just said my mom and dad just signed me up. Okay, let's see this. Let's see this go up. I feel like I'm on like a radio show or some like a talk show and you just watch it all, or American Idol. That's what I feel like right now. It's like I'm on American Idol watching these results. Okay, so we're seeing most people saying either my mom and dad signed me up or I want to learn more about public speaking. Exactly the same number, pretty much almost. So I'm happy to see that. I'm glad most of you don't think or it was a TV show. And if you think it was, well, guess what? It's not getting renewed next season because not that exciting. But basically what we're going to do here today are three main things. We're going to talk about talking, which is my favorite subject, which is public speaking. I'm going to give you guys some great tips and tricks that you can use on basically addressing any topic that's given you or any kind of speech. And finally, I'm going to teach you how to learn to actually practice these skills. Because public speaking skills are great to know on paper, but you actually need to use them in order to act very good at it, or at least improve where you are now. And the other thing, I will definitely be looking for volunteers. So raise your hands. I think you can chat to put a little hand. Love volunteers. I want this to be very interactive. So hope to hear from you. So firstly, here's my first question, guys. Here's my first question. Alliteration right there. What is public speaking mean to you? What is? Let's look at volunteers. Anybody hands up? Hands up. Let's see your hands up. Anybody? Okay, anybody want to volunteer for me over here? Do we see any volunteers? Ah, here we go.
Con volunteered.
Thank you so much, Con, for volunteering. So, what does public speaking mean to you? What is it? What do you think it is? Is your microphone on?
Oh, I don't think they can speak. They have to type.
Oh, okay. Oh, I was looking for them to speak. All right, so it's engaging my audience. Okay, you know what, guys? Type in your answers. What does public speaking mean to you? What do you think it is? Okay, Vicky, go ahead. I was expecting to hear a voice. I'm so used to Zoom. Okay, do you want to type in your answer, Vicky? Having fun. Absolutely. I agree with that. Is definitely having fun. Okay, anybody else? All right, Aria, go ahead. Sharing ideas. Absolutely. Okay, so let me ask you guys something else. Who is public speaking? Who are people you can think of who use public speaking? Okay, Nash wants to be able to have fun while talking. Nash, we're glad you want to have fun. Okay, wow, this is fun. Prime ministers, CEOs, leaders. Who else? Keep thinking, think hard, think on a daily basis. Who is it that public every day in the normal environment? Teachers, thank you. You see teachers, my teachers, students, yes. Debbie, you gave away my answer. My big one that no one ever thinks of. Okay, lawyers, yes, definitely lawyers. We talk a lot. My dad speaks a lot, apparently. Yes, my kids would say the same about me. All right, cool. You know, you guys are getting all these answers, and I've never done a chat thing for this. This is interesting to see everyone's response. You guys are absolutely right. The first thing, oh, my parents talk too much, just seeing that one. Okay. So the first thing we really think about, a lot of people think about, is politicians, right? And then we go into, hey, think about other things, things outside the box. Newscasters, right? Comedians, your normally all the time, apparently your parents, okay? And most of all, someone you don't normally think about, you do it every single day, okay? Without even realizing it. So when you're in a normal environment in school and you're raising your hand to answer something to the class or to say something you know, that's public speaking. When you're in the playground and just telling a story about, your annoying sister, that's public speaking, okay? Those are all different forms of public speaking you do and don't even realize it. So if you can do those very well, if you can just have a conversation in the playground and engage people and have them listen to you, that's what it is. Those are the same skills that you need to do in front of a giant audience of 1,000 people. So guys, you're already really good public speakers. You just need to practice the same skills in front of a big audience, okay? So let's talk a little bit about what we want to be when we grow up. Can I have some answers? What do you guys want to be when you grow up? Okay, actually, I'm just going to use this instead of the poll right now. So let's do this one. Let's see, historian, coder, surgeon, let's see, actress. Wow, okay, there's some interesting. Any artists in here? Anyone say yes, artist? Any artists? Animators, here we go, artists. Thank you, Connie.
Got a businesswoman.
Yeah, we have a businesswoman. We've got, oh my goodness, someone wants to be a fundraiser presidential candidate. I love that. We definitely need very, very good leadership in the country. So yes, always. Wow, lots of different ones. So basically, guys, what I'm getting at over here with all of these is that no matter what you do, you're going to actually really need your public speaking skills. So say you're an artist and you have this fantastic piece that you've prepared. Let's call it Frogs on an iPad. I don't know, whatever you prepare. Guess what? If you want to sell that for the $2.1 million you've just marked that painting at, you got to do more than just present the painting. You got to really literally paint a picture to your audience as to why they should really buy it. You have to sell not only that painting, you got to sell yourself in a way, right? You got to market yourself. If you're a surgeon, you cannot just tell people, hey, sorry, you're going to die. Not going to fly. All right. You need to tell the family exactly what's going on. What's the treatment? How long do we have to keep this person here? You have to deal with them with a certain kind of empathy. No matter what you do, you're going to need these skills. My athletes, I'm sure I have some athletes in here. Do we have athletes? I'm sure I've got some athletes. Now, when you take your team to the World Series, guess what? When you sign those great marketing deals for the sneakers and stuff like that, guess what? You're going to have to talk to people. When those kids that are your fans are going to be asking you, hey, you know what? What do we do to become you? You got to inspire them. You have to give them reasons. You got to give them, really something they can hang on to and listen to and become your fans. So it's not only about what you do in terms of your skills, it's also the way that you talk about it and present it. Okay? So let me ask you another question. Why do you think public speaking is this important, especially right now? Why is it so important? Write your answers down. I want to see it. Why do you think it's so important as a skill to have? Anybody? Hi, Arjun, basketball player. It can influence people. President, public speaker. Okay, it can influence people. In every job, you need to talk and public speak, absolutely, to convince people about your point. Okay, guys, so I'm seeing some good answers here. I will tell you one big thing, okay, here, big tip. Speech is so empowering. It is probably the most empowering thing you've been given. We're seeing it every day on the news. We're seeing it with these protesters. We need to use our voices in order to convince someone of something, in order to express something, in order to tell people what we know. You could create the cure for coronavirus, okay? But if you cannot actually tell people the components of it, explain it, it's going to be sitting right in your house and maybe you'll be the only person who never gets coronavirus, so you really need to be able to express it no matter what you do in every career that you have. But forget about the career, guys. You guys are kids. Most of you are probably kids. Here's another thing. Don't you use it to convince your parents of something if you really, really want something? I'm sure you have used this before with parents, aunts, uncles, if there's something you really, really want. Big tip, if you're doing this, you got to give reasons. You can't just be like, I want a brand new iPad for my birthday. No, you got to give them some good reasons. And the example that I will give, I always give this, and he gets really annoyed about it, is my son. He's 8 years old, and for every Tuesday, every birthday, every holiday, every second of the day, probably, what he says to me is, I want a phone. Mom, I want a phone. Mom, I want a phone. And I said, that's great, Dylan. You want an iPhone. Why do you want it? Give me reasons. Don't just tell me I want it. So he really gave it some thought, and he finally said, okay, so if there's a fire at my school, how am I going to be able to text you if I don't have a phone? I said, okay, number one, safety. Number two, what if I use the internet only for homework? Okay, maybe. Number two, Mom, I play the piano and I can use it to listen to really great classical piano music. Okay, Dylan, those are three really good reasons. Safety, okay? You're gonna use the internet only for homework. And finally, you are gonna listen to classical piano music. Those are amazingly impressive reasons. And you will get your phone when you're 13. Sorry, but good reasons, guys. My point is, he tried. And my other point is, always give people reasons, and especially the rule of three, which I'm gonna go over after. 3 reasons is super important. For whatever reason, historically, 3 reasons are always remembered more than things in like 1 or 2. Even think of slogans. Just do it, Nike, right? What is it? McDonald's has you gotta love it, or I'm loving it. You'll always think of things that always come in 3s, even in marketing. So it's something to remember, kids, when you're asking your parents. 3. Okay. So first, I'm going to say there are 2 main kinds of public speaking. One is prepared speech. Prepared speech is basically that we're actually outlining something, okay? We're actually preparing an outline. We have time to practice it. We have time to record it and do it in front of a fake audience, whatever. We're preparing it. Then there's impromptu speech, which is on the spot, which we do most of the time. For example, when your teacher calls on you, and I do this all the time too in my classes, sometimes I'll call on people. That's impromptu. It means you have to think on the spot. You have to structure in your brain what you're going to say right then and there. Both of them are very difficult in a way, like public speaking, different kinds of public speaking, but they kind of take the same skill set. So whatever I'm talking to you about today, you can use for both of those kinds of speaking. Okay, so impromptu and prepared. So let's go to the next slide here. Actually, there we go. Okay, I forgot if you were controlling it or if I was. So first question you ask, if you get any kind of a topic, is this: what is the purpose of what I'm gonna say? Because everything you do in your speech is based on the purpose. So API, simple thing to remember, okay? API, and I know a lot of you have actually used PI in terms of just learning the purpose of writing at school, but we use it also for the purpose of speaking. So here we go, guys, easy to remember. The first one is that's for actuating. Actuating means to call to action. So again, I'm pointing at what we're seeing right now. We're seeing all these protesters. They are inspired enough. Many speakers or just the situation has moved them enough that it's actuated them to come out and protest. Also think of things like people for the ethical treatment of animals, right? They're inspired enough and moved enough that they are going to go out there and protest for these animal rights and take action on it. Persuading, again, we're seeing it all the time. The elections, when people are trying to convince us to vote for them, right? Or where else do we see it? Guys, where else do we see persuasion? Let's write it out. Chat it up. Where do we see persuasion on a daily basis? Come on, let's get some answers in there. Where are we seeing persuasion? News, yes. Ads, commercials. Thank you. That's what I was looking for very much. Commercials. We are persuaded every day when we turn the TV on or when we listen to the radio, when we watch our movie trailers and our book reviews. There's someone trying to persuade us about something every day, okay? In addition to our politicians and, our newscasters. Newscasters are technically not supposed to try to really persuade you, but it does happen, okay? Our next one, informing. I is for informing. We do see that mostly in areas like the news. We see it in science. So for example, when there's a new discovery or a new kind of medication, we're going to get the information on it. Things like the coronavirus, we keep receiving information on it all the time. Statistics, what's closed, what's open. That's just pure information. Finally, there's the E, which is my favorite kind, which is entertaining. Again, actors, stand-up comics, poets, talk show hosts, all of them are entertaining. So again, what do? We get a topic first thing. Which piece of the pie are we using the most? That should be your first question. Am I actuating, persuading, informing, or entertaining? Now, fine. I decide, you know what? My purpose is to persuade. How do you persuade? You can't just go in there and be like, hey, I'm awesome, vote for me. You got to give them good reasons, which means you have to give them information to make that choice. So you're going to have one main piece of the pie, okay, one big piece of the pie, and then no one can eat just one piece of pie, which means that we can combine it with another piece of the pie. So if you're informing, you can also entertain a little bit. I'm trying to do that here. I don't know if I'm making you laugh, but I try. And the good thing is I can't see you guys, so I'm going to pretend you're laughing when I make a joke. But basically, you can mix a couple of those together in order to create a great speech, but there's always one main topic. Okay, so let me ask you guys a question. Now we're going to talk about nervousness, okay? How many of you get nervous when you are talking in front of a group? Let's see some hands in our chat, or me, I guess, me. Me. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of me's. There's our hand. Good, yeah, a lot of people get very nervous when they are talking to a room of people or even in a new group of people, even with friends sometimes. Let me ask you guys, what do you do to calm yourself down? Can I see some answers on what you do to calm yourself down? Arjun does not. That is really cool, Arjun. Breathe, fall on the floor. No, don't get hurt. Okay, breathe, take deep breaths. I keep seeing people say count to 10, breathe. Okay, this one says I choose entertainment because it's funny. Walk around when presenting. I like that one. Walk around too. That is a good one. So I play with my mini hoop. I should try that one. I need a mini hoop. But basically, all of you have different techniques that you are using in order to calm yourself down. And that's very good if that works for you. For me, what really works is reminding myself that public speaking, even if you're in front of 5 people or if you're in front of 500 people, all it is a conversation, nothing more than that, a good conversation. So no matter who the person is in the audience, even if he's the president, whoever it is, everybody is there. They're taking their time out to listen to you. So you want to give them something to take back with them. And what everybody just wants is that nice conversation. If you are up here sounding like this, that's not what they want, because people want to talk to people. They do not want to talk to a robot, unless you're a robot, in which case that would be kind of cool. But normally people just want a good conversation. So before any kind of speech, I get nervous too. Here's the other thing. Everybody gets nervous. 99% of people get nervous, and it's normal. It's totally normal to get nervous. The thing is, how do we use it? Do we use it in a negative way where we get more and more and more nervous? Or do we use it to give ourselves some energy and excitement about being up there? So how we're using it. Me, all the time, I remind myself 10 times, it's just a conversation. It's just a conversation. I'll keep saying that to myself until I'm like, yeah, they just want to have a conversation with me. And that's kind of what I'm doing with you guys right now. As opposed to just pointing at a slide, I'm actually talking to you and having a conversation. So remind yourself of that, okay? Remember, just a conversation. Also do your deep breaths if that helps you, okay? And let me ask you guys a question. What do you do to make your friends listen to you when you're talking to your giant group of friends, which I'm sure you do because you guys, even from your chat, seem massively cool. So what do you do to make your friends listen to you? Anybody? Let's see. Scream. I don't know about that. I make it entertaining. Good. Okay. Before I go on, okay, ask for attention. Make eye contact. Thank you. I'm seeing some good ones here. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Let's see them. What do you do to make your friends listen to you? Wave my hand in their face. I have polite friends. Good. That's good. Move my arms. Watch me, say hi. Okay, so make gestures. Okay, so what I'm getting out of change tone, thank you. What I'm getting out of this is you are saying something interesting to your friends in an interesting way in order to get them to listen. Here's the other thing. Do we talk to our We don't talk to our friends like that. We talk to our friends nice and loud so they can hear us. And not only one friend, if we're standing in a group, we're talking to the entire group. What does that mean? We're loud enough for everybody in that group to hear us. If we're only loud enough for 2 people to hear us in a group of 10, you've lost the other 8. They're gonna walk away, right? And similarly, this is the same goal when we're in a room. Everybody needs to be able to hear us. So we're loud enough for our friends to hear us, fine. We're interesting, we're saying something that's very interesting. Someone says they're moving their arms and they're expressive, absolutely. We don't just talk like a robot to our friends. We don't look down, we don't do that. We are actually expressing ourselves. We're moving our hands, we're doing all those things, right? Are we umming and ahhing when we talk to our friends? Are we like, and I went to school and yeah, no, we don't do that. And why don't we do that? Why do you think we don't do that? Why don't we and ah when we're talking to our friends? Anybody have an answer they can type in for me? Anybody? Makes them bored? True, true. Anything else? Any other guesses? It does get boring when people and ah a lot. This is true. You can lose their attention. Thank you very much. That's a big one. You can lose their attention. Here's the other. When it makes them like you don't know what you're talking about. And you're smart enough to know what you're talking about. It's much better to just stop and pause and think about what you're going to say and then keep going. Okay. So when we're with our friends, we're not umming and ahhing. That's great. Finally, when we're with our friends, are we looking at the floor? Are we looking at the ceiling? Where are we looking? Where are we looking? When we're talking to our friends, where are we looking? If you have at them, thank you. We are looking at them and not only one of them, we're looking at all of them. We're making eye contact with our group because otherwise, guess what? You're not talking to them. You're talking to the ceiling, you're talking to the floor, or you're talking to one person, okay? So these are all the things you're doing in the playground. So Debbie, can we move to the next slide? Oh, actually, that was our placeholder. You can go to the next one. All right, so another really easy acronym to remember. How are you gonna like yourself when you're talking up there? Or how are you gonna make other people like you? Easy acronym, like. Things to remember all the time when we're talking in front of a group, when we're talking to 5 people or 500. We are nice and loud. We are interesting, okay? We're saying something interesting. We kiss our ums and ahs goodbye. And finally, we are making eye contact. Okay, a funny story about this one, by the way. Kiss your ums and ahs goodbye. One of my recent classes, we went through 8 classes. The last class, this one girl raised her hand to answer what like was, and this is what she said. L is for loud, I is for interesting, K is for kiss your moms and dads goodbye, and E is for eye contact. The entire class, she thought it was kiss your moms and dads goodbye. And I repeat this like a bazillion times. I mean, it's a good thing to kiss your moms and dads goodbye. It might bring you really good luck. Maybe you'll be louder and you won't and ah. But it is kiss your ums and ahs goodbye and not your moms and dads, although that's a good thing to do too. Okay, so loud, interesting, kiss your ums and ahs goodbye and eye contact. What does loud mean though? We say we're loud. What does it mean? Does it mean to scream? Are we screaming at people? What does it mean? Speak clearly, I see that. Yes, we are speaking nice and clear. We are saying our words very clearly, articulating all of our words so people can understand us, okay? We're not mumbling. We are nice and confident, and we are nice and loud. And what that means is that we are speaking loudly. We are not screaming. So this is what I say. You can remember it like this. Imagine a room and it's divided into 3 parts, the front, the middle, and the back. The guy hiding all the way in the back who doesn't want to be seen, that's the one that you need to reach with your voice, okay? You need to be able to speak or project your voice loud enough so that little guy hiding back there can hear you. That's the whole goal, because if you're only talking to the front, you're only talking to the middle, the people in the back, you have lost completely. You can lose people in the first 3 seconds of your speech if they can't hear you, if you're not clear, if you're looking down. Very easy to lose people, all right? So loud, 3 parts of the room, reach the person all the way in the back. Interesting, what does interesting even mean? Oh, that was interesting. What does that mean? Can anyone write what they think interesting means when you're talking in front of a group of people? Getting their attention, right? How do we get their attention though? We're not boring. Yeah, yeah. Okay, Debbie, I'm gonna have you do something with me. Okay, Debbie's gonna be my volunteer because I originally thought we could have people volunteer, but I should be using you for this all the time. Okay, Debbie, you are going to say the world is going to end in 3 seconds in the most boring way possible.
Okay. The world's gonna end in 3 seconds.
Sorry, I just fell asleep. The world is going to end in 3 seconds, according to Debbie. That was really not that exciting. Yeah, I'm not running anywhere, guys. I'm not running anywhere when Debbie says that. Now, here we go. The world is ending in 3 seconds. Okay. I hope you're running now. All right. So there's a difference. If you can see, the message is the same. The message is exactly the same. What's coming out of our voices, coming out of our mouth is the same. But the way it differs is our expression. And for example, I'm using my hands. I'm giving you guys some hand gestures. I am showing you with my face. Even if I didn't say anything, if I did this, you would know that there's something. I'm either excited or I'm scared or whatever, right? So 2 parts to interesting are what comes out of our mouth and what happens with our faces, okay? And our tone of voice and also our gestures as well, right? So there's another slide that's gonna explain that a little bit more. Actually, we can move on to the next slide, Debbie. Okay, so here we go. Verbal. Verbal is what's coming out of our mouth that makes something interesting. What are we saying? The content. How clear we are. How quickly we're going. When we're very excited, we speed up. When we're very serious, we might slow down if we're trying to make a point. If we're saying something sad, we slow down. If we are a little bit confused, we kind of slow down, right? So our pace says a lot about our pace contributes to making things pretty interesting. Our voice modulation, we're going up and down, right? If we're just talking like this, or if we're just talking like this, we're not modulating our voice. It's not that exciting for the person who's listening. Then, of course, the nonverbal part of it. Hand gestures. How are we using our hands? Movement, only if it's natural and with a purpose. Somebody, I think, commented that they walk back and forth when they get nervous. So I'm going to say this, unless it's natural to you and you can move with a confident motion, that you can move where you look confident, not because you're moving from nerves and people can tell you're moving from nerves, then you should do it. But if it ends up making you look like you're just nervous, I would actually just say take a stance and put your feet 3 feet apart and just stand nice and tall. Use your hands when it feels natural and use your body. Move around only if it's natural to you. Facial expressions, super duper important. If I'm saying something really exciting, but I look like this, it's not exciting. It's like what Debbie just did with what I told her, right? So it's an overall feel and energy of what you're doing and what you're saying, what's coming out of your mouth and what's going on with your body. Biggest tip here is you get back what you give out. If you smile at people in your audience, guess what? They're gonna smile back at you. If you look bored yourself and you're just standing there like this, and trust me, I've seen a lot of kids who start folding their arms when they're up there. If you look bored, people are gonna be bored. If you're trying to convey something that's exciting, if you don't look excited, they're not gonna be excited. So remember, you get back what you give out, okay? And the next one is K, kiss your ums and ahs goodbye. We already talked about that, which is, hey, we're better to pause instead of umming and ahhing, okay? Because again, we want people to know that we do know what we're talking about. And that's what happens when we keep umming and ahhing. People think we don't. So just pause. It's okay to pause for a second and collect your thoughts. And kiss your mums and dads goodbye while you're at it too. So, and we can move on, Debbie. We can do the next slide. Eye contact. So what does eye contact mean? Okay, eye contact, we think, oh, what does it mean? Yeah, you're looking at people. It gets a little bit more to it than that. So the rule of 3 is the way it's gotta be. So what that means, when we walk up in front of a room, we are waiting 3 seconds before we start, okay? Because Joe Schmo is sitting on his phone and texting his wife, okay? And Bobby Burp is sitting there burping or something, and he's distracted. So we're gonna be up there and we are gonna wait, we're gonna look around, we're gonna give some people some smiles, make sure you have the attention of people. You have important things to say. They should be listening. So give it at least that 3 seconds to start. Now, eye contact with at least 3 people in 3 different parts of the room for no more than 3 seconds. What does this even mean? Okay, Imagine again, your room is chopped up into 3 parts. You've got your left, your right, and your middle, all right? What you need to do, because like in your group of friends, you want to include everybody. You're going to look at least one person in those 3 parts of the room throughout your presentation for no more than 3 seconds each. So maybe up to 3 seconds. Why only 3 seconds? Because if you stare at people, it's scary. They're going to think you're going to follow them home. You don't want that happening. The other thing is that if you're talking to just one person for too long, again, you're losing everybody else. So only up to 3 seconds. Now, keep in mind, this also depends on how long your speech is. If you're going on for 2 hours, you got to look at more than 3 people. But generally, the minimum we want to do, no matter what we're doing, is at least 3 people, okay? So that is the rule of 3. The rule of 3 is the way it's got to be. 3 seconds to start, eye contact with at least 3 people, 3 different parts of rooms for no more than 3 seconds, okay? And finally, we know all this stuff, but hey, now what? Now, how do we structure it? We know that the first thing that we do is say, what's our purpose? But then we're saying, okay, that's our purpose. And we know that we need to be loud, interesting, kiss our ums and ahs, goodbye, make eye contact. But how are we actually structuring any type of speech? So this is what I use. I use my burger to remember this. It's a great way of remembering it, okay? Put everything into a sandwich structure, no matter what it is. I use this even in impromptu speaking. So not only prepared speech, but I personally use this in impromptu where my brain is first thinking of the 3 most important things, okay? But this is how it works. When you're taking a bite of a burger, your goal is to make people want more, okay? So say that In-N-Out burger that people will keep wanting to go back for, the first bite gets you. What does that mean? That means in your introduction, you need to hook them right away. You need to immediately get their attention with that first sentence in order for them to take the next bite of that burger. So what does the introduction include? Like I said, it's got your hook, it has your point, basically the point you're going to make, and it introduces the 3 condiments in your burger. So what are those 3 condiments that are the most important, that are going to meet your purpose the most? Always use your key arguments. So one question I get often is, hey, how do we choose what we're going to talk about? Because there's so many different points. I would say whatever is the best part of your burger. So whatever is going to make your point the most, whatever is going to achieve that purpose, whether it's to actuate, persuade, inform, or entertain, you're going to choose those 3 condiments or those 3 details. For each detail, we need to say what it is, why it's there, and how does it help our purpose, okay? So remember that, and always 3. Conclusion. So what's actually in our conclusion? Here's the big thing. The conclusion gives them the last bite, the one that's going to keep them coming back for more, the one that's going to make them remember the taste of how yummy that burger is. So what do you do with that? You repeat, first of all, you're going to repeat your point. You are going to, again, bring attention to those 3 main details, the 3 condiments. And finally, you're going to close it off with a really nice, strong closer. Usually what we do is we refer back to the hook in order to close it. So I'm going to actually give you guys a little example of a speech that I have here based on the burger about burgers. So here we go. I'm going to read this to you and see if you can identify in your mind where all these different parts are. So here's my introduction. Last night, I dreamt of biting into a juicy, meaty, scrumptious burger. Burgers are one of the most satisfying and delicious meals that you could eat. So what makes a burger delicious? I strongly believe that the condiments do. Most of all, tomatoes, lettuce, and cheese. So there, you saw it split up in there. There was my first sentence, my hook. Last night, I dreamt of biting into a juicy, meaty, scrumptious burger versus me saying, burgers are pretty good. Right? That's not going to get people to listen. You got to get them to really listen. Okay, so I've done my intro. I've given you 3 things, tomatoes, lettuce, and cheese, the most important parts. Now let's go through each one. Okay, so here, step 1. So let's start with the tomatoes. Okay, so I said what it is. Why? Why does it add to this burger? They add an extra zing to the burger. The extra zing comes from the tomato being both sweet and sour at the same time. What is it? Tomatoes. Why is it there? It adds an extra zing. And how does it do it? The extra zing comes from the tomatoes being both sweet and sour at the same time. So for every detail, we're going to do that, guys. So I'm not going to go through all of my condiments because I like tomatoes the best. But going on to the conclusion, let's close it all up. Here we go. I'm going to read you my conclusion. So as you sit drooling, you can see that tomatoes, lettuce, and cheese can definitely make a great burger even greater. So now I'm going to make my dream come true and go and get myself a burger. I think you should too. Okay? So what did I do? I repeated those 3 things, and then I closed off my initial hook. My initial hook was last night I dreamt of biting into a juicy burger. And here I said, I'm going to make my dream come true and get myself a burger. I think you should too. I'm also calling people to action. Go get your burger. So I hope that you see how that structure actually works. So that's what I use all the time, whether it's impromptu or prepared. And that's usually the rule of 3 that I was telling you about in the beginning. Okay? So now that you know all of this, great. You know all is great information. Cool. What do you do to actually practice? So let's move on to the next slide. How do I practice? Okay. So this is the great thing. This is the part where you can steal your parents' phones and their iPads, and they'll allow you to do it. Record yourself, okay? Because you are your own critic. That means I could tell you something, your teacher could tell you, your parents could tell you, hey, get louder, get more interesting, do whatever. If you don't see it yourself, you're not going to be able to change it to the extent that you would if you observe it on your own, okay? Because we are our own best critic. Record yourself. And when you record yourself, this is what you're going to do. You're going to go through every one of the L-I-K-E. You're going to record yourself with the same thing until you say, am I actually loud enough? It's a little hard to determine because it's a camera, but I think you can sense if you're being loud enough in there. Once you're satisfied with it, move on. Now you look at it and say, hey, am I interesting? Am I verbally interesting? And am I non-verbally interesting with my hands and my face? Until you're happy with it, until you say, yeah, I am interesting, then you move on to your ums and ahs. And then your goal is to eliminate that to nothing. Until you don't do that, you don't move on to that E of eye contact. How do you try eye contact in a video? How are you going to do that? This is what I do. And this is what I tell kids to do right now because all classes are virtual right now too. I line up 3 stuffed animals, one on the left side, one on the right side, one in the middle in front of me somewhere. And I'm sure that I'm looking at them. And guys, here's the other thing. You got to make it looking natural. I've seen politicians recently who will remain nameless, but they have done some eye contacting, which has looked very unnatural. It's looked very robotic. It's looked very like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's not what we want to do. We want to really just talk like we're talking to people. We're just turning our heads. It's got to be natural. Okay. So make sure you're doing all of those things in your video. And then you say, hey, now I'm done. I'm kind of awesome. This is the point that I say, mom, dad, dog, brother, sister, come and watch me because now I am going to rock this thing. And then you can get their feedback. Okay. So that's the way I practice is with a camera. And good idea to time yourself because as much as you would like to keep talking for 10 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever, I'm sure every speech has a time limit. So we got to make sure that we're sticking in that time limit for everything. All right. Bullet points only. What does that mean? It's best to not read off of a piece of paper. And this is why I say that. Okay. If you are just reading off of a piece of paper, or if you just have something memorized, this is what happens. If somebody in that presentation gets up to go to the bathroom, or if someone coughs or sneezes, it's very easy to get thrown off. So the best way to practice is, if you need it, put your bullet points down. You saw the burger structure. What I do for it is often I'll just put like one or like just those 3 words to remind myself what to say in case I forget it. What you really want to do again is have a conversation with people. If you have everything memorized, it doesn't always sound like a conversation, right? So we want to just practice with bullet points and just converse. So like I said, people like being talked to and not read to, right? We don't want to, if I was with you guys right now and I was just doing this, not that interesting, right? So we want to talk to them. Finally, how do we practice at home? Daily practice at home. This is what I say. I've seen so many kids, they want to public speak, which is awesome, but they have a hard time reading out loud. So big advice for parents as well, please have your kids read out loud. Kids, read a story to your little brother or sister. And like I said, dogs love being read to too. Read a story to your dog. The goal is to do all the LIKE. Loud, interesting, kiss your ums and ahs goodbye, and eye contact, even when we're reading something. Make it sound interesting. Great tip to do, record yourself. See if you sound great. See if, that's an interesting story. Sounds good to you. Parents, talk about your day with your kids. What'd you guys do today? I do this in the beginning of every class. Tell me something good that happened today. Describe it. Play speaking games. And we're going to do this, Debbie. Do we have the Zoom link actually for after this? Remember the Zoom link? So we will, oh, there we go. There's the Zoom link. This is what we're going to do after the session. Whoever wants to come, super duper fun. You play speaking games. Speaking games is like, hey, one of my favorites is 1 minute speech. So parents, if you're listening, you give kids, or you take one topic, say your topic is Gatorade or whatever it is. Your goal is to talk for 1 minute straight with a timer, okay? You shouldn't be less than the minute. You shouldn't be more than the minute. And you should have everything fit into that 1 minute. Ideally, you think of 3 things. But initially, when you start off, as long as you're filling the minute with whatever comes to your mind, this is really good practice. Here's the other thing, kids. I want to tell you guys something. You can actually be way better public speakers than your parents, okay? And this is why I say this. It's much easier to create good habits when you're young than to break really bad ones. A lot of adults have really bad speaking habits that have just gone, through the time, from the time they were a kid. It's just grown and grown and grown with them. Much harder to break those habits. You guys can do great with developing new ones. Kids, I've always seen that kids pick up things much, much quicker. See, this is the example I give. Think of like people who are like 90 years old. You know how like they're hunched over, like really hunched over, you see that? Because they're worried about too much. That's what happens. As we get older, we hunch over, we get worried, and that reflects a lot of times even in our speeches. We have a lot more relying on it. As adults, we're like, are we gonna get that next promotion? What's everyone thinking about me? Oh my goodness. Kids, you guys don't have to worry about that as much, and you shouldn't be, all right? We wanna hear you. So guys, those are the main things. So let's just cover it again. What are we gonna do? A pie. First thing, what's our purpose? Are we gonna actuate, persuade, inform, or entertain? Figure that out first. Which pieces of the pie am I using? Second, I'm actually gonna structure mine. So I should have put those slides in different order, but structure it. Think of your burger structure. Think of your 3 things. Finally, when you're practicing it, LIKE. Am I loud? Am I interesting? Am I kissing my ums and ahs goodbye? Am I making eye contact? So guys, most of all, remember, be yourself. Whenever you're up there, you're not imitating anybody, you are you, and that's what makes you unique, and it's gonna make people remember who you are. If you're funny, throw in some humor. People always like humor. Bring a piece of yourself to your presentation or whenever you're talking to people. So that's what I've got, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. And I'm gonna let Debbie tell us about the classes, which I really, really, really hope that you guys join us because they're really fun. Not only do you learn a lot, but they're actually really fun for summer camps. So just wanna let you guys know, hope to see you, okay? And
Yep.
chat,
Yes,
Q&A.
we will.
Q&A
Yeah, we'll
too.
definitely answer some questions as well. So Sumedha, I think one of the things we're excited about in terms of the programs was that we would be doing not only an introduction and having everyone practice those, but we'd be focusing also on different types of public speaking, like storytelling, pitching and persuading, formal presentations, prep, practice, and present. And so we'll build up to a big presentation. And I know there was a question about, do we offer speaking classes for adults? And Sumedha, we're happy to provide your contact information because I know you do that. And so Rachel, we will share that in the email that goes out, or you can go to Highest Speak website. That was
Highestspeak.com, guys.
highestspeak.com.
I can write it in the chat.
We'll definitely do that. Podcasting is public speaking. And so we're super excited for everybody to join. And if you'd like to, I was also going to share that I know my daughter in 6th grade had a lot of what they call pop-ups. So those were, we had to get up and speak impromptu. So she's going to be joining your class on June 22nd because she decided that she really wanted that. So please join us for the Zoom session. I'll send that again if you'd like. So you have that right here on your screen, fun games after that if you want to join us. And we hope you can join us at one of the classes as well. And thank you so much, everybody,
Thank
for
you.
participating and for all of the students. And we'll see you over on Zoom if you'd like to come.
Yes, please.
Thank
I want to
you.
see you guys. We're gonna have some fun. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good rest of the evening or whatever time zone you're in. I think you're all around here mostly. So have a good evening. Come to the Zoom session, kids. Super fun.
All right.
Fun.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.
All right, let me get into this Zoom session.
Okay, I'll go join you
Debbie,
over
are
there.
you
Bye.
coming?
Thank you, everybody. Yep,
Debbie,
I'll see you there.
Okay, bye. There we go. All right. Hi. Yeah, I am here. Hold on. Oh, it says I cannot start my video. Hold on. Let's see. Why is that happening? All right. Let me get out and get back in. All right. We still have 5 minutes either way for the other part. I don't know why it's not letting. Oh, can you turn my camera on? Try it. It's weird. I don't know why. Yes, start my video. Oh, yeah, that's probably why. Okay, let me end the webinar, then I'll get right back in. Hold on. End event.